I researched top FPL content creators' drafts, and I'm going to rate them in this video. So we'll start off then with the big dog, Andy. Now, you probably know and know their channels already, but just in case you don't, I'm going to leave a link to everyone in the description below. I haven't actually asked permission to do this, but I figured it's just a nice thing to do for a video, isn't it? And I'm showing my appreciation for these content creators by leaving a link in the description below. So Andy's team, he's got Sanchez in goal, Virgil van Dijk, Murillo and Lacroix from Crystal Palace in defence. I think it's a pretty decent defence that. He's obviously gone big on the defensive contribution points, which I've already made a video about and some shorts about to say that I think these points are going to be really powerful. And I think picking defenders who will do well for these points is a good way to go. And it certainly looks like he's doing that. I think Sanchez has got some really good fixtures for Chelsea. The one thing I couldn't quite work out is whether he's bench boosting or not. I think with the quality of players he's got on his bench, he probably is. You can see there he's got Christie from Bournemouth, who again I think will probably do okay for the defensive contribution points. Tarkowski again, the leading player last season for those points. Anu Doggy, Kinski in net was his backup keeper. May or may not play, but I think this draft was made about a week ago when there was definitely a chance that Kinski could play for Spurs, and I still think that's valid. Salah, Palmer, Semenyo and Rodgers in midfield I really like. I really like Semenyo in particular. I think a lot of people are being put off him by the first fixture he's got against Liverpool, but after that the Bournemouth fixtures get good. We all know how good Semenyo is. I think if I remember rightly, he had a really good game at Anfield last season, so I wouldn't rule out him being able to do well in that one. And then up front, he's got Solanke, Welbeck, and Strand Larsen. I like the front three. The only thing I'd be a little bit concerned about is having two 6.5 million strikers, I think. Having one means you can interchange between the two. But if Danny Welbeck picks up an injury, which, let's be honest, he probably will at some point this season, I don't think you have like an easy option to hop on and hop off with him. But I think he's going to be good. He's probably going to start regularly for Brighton. And I think he's going to be their penalty taker too. So, yeah, really like the team. And then what I did, and I'll do this with all of the drafts, is I put it into the Fantasy Football Hub AI rating tool. So, by the way, all the graphics you see here are courtesy of Fantasy Football Hub. So, the expected points and fixtures for each of the players, all of that comes from the Fantasy Football Hub tool. And if you want to get your own team rated by their AI tool, you can do so for free using the link in my description below. So, Andy, his team gets a 92% rating according to the Fantasy Football Hub AI. Yeah, like I said, I really like this team. I think it's strong. All right, next up, I've got FPL Raptor Ross. Whenever I look at FPL Raptor's logo, I always think of him having me on his podcast. That was a really good day that I'll remember for a long time. Anyway, he's got Sells, Guardiola, Wan-Bissaka and Munoz in defence. I like Sells, I like Guardiola, and I like Wan-Bissaka. I can't complain about those guys. But I think Munoz is an interesting one. I don't think the fixtures for Crystal Palace are necessarily all that good to start the season off. He's obviously a good asset, right? Proved that last season with like the sheer attacking ability and the amount of attacking returns he got, right? There's no doubt about that. But the one thing that would concern me a little bit, I guess, is that it's not really, I don't think, that good for defensive contributions. So for me, maybe picking a defender that's maybe a bit better for those could be a good way to play it. He's obviously got Gahey on the bench as well. Yeah, maybe that's how you could improve that. This draft, I think, I looked at the video, it's 9 days old, I think. So, things have moved on in terms of the way people are thinking, etc. So his draft now will probably be different to this. Salah, Palmer, Wirtz and Jai and Kudus in midfield. I think it's a really strong midfield. You know what? As I've been rating people's drafts, I've been kind of talking about Kudus and the fact that I don't really rate him. But the more that time goes on, the more I think that he actually could be a good option. I like Njai as well. Again, just having two 6.5 million mids, I'm not massively sure about, but I think it's absolutely fine, isn't it, that midfield? João Pedro and Solanke up front, I really like. Kinski, Konsa, Gahey and Obi, like the 4.5 striker from Man United. With Mark Gu, I think that's how you pronounce it, signing for Sunderland, we might have a better 4.5 million striker now, but this draft was made before that happened, so I can excuse Ross for that one. Yeah, I really like this team. I think it's really strong. You've got good players in every position. Salah is your captain. Yeah, I really like this team. And then I put this into Fantasy Football Hub again, and it gave Ross a 91% AI rating. So not quite as good as Andy's, but I think, to be honest, if he swapped Munoz out for a good defender for defensive contribution points, he'd probably be on a 92 or 93% rating there. It's a really good team, and he may already have changed his mindset on Munoz, going for more of those defensive contribution points. All right, next up, we've got FPL Harry. And I've looked at FPL Harry's rank history, by the way, and it's an absolute joke. I think if you, and I'm not saying I'm going to do this, you could quite easily just get away with just doing whatever FPL Harry does every week, to be honest. If I were to give someone like advice, if you want a really quick way to do well in FPL, just look at what FPL Harry's doing and copy him. So he's got Sanchez, not actually, saying you should copy FPL content creators' teams, but, Sanchez, Guardiola, Wan-Bissaka, and De Kuyper. It's, again, a really good back four, this, isn't it? I think De Kuyper's going to be really good for potential attack and returns for Brighton. Every single club he's played at, he's looked to be ridiculously attacking, and I think that's only going to continue at Brighton. The only thing I would say about him, and I've gotten in a lot of my drafts, is whether a 4.5 million defender that could do well for defensive contributions is going to be better. That's the only question I'd ask, really. Guardiola and Wan-Bissaka, can't fault those other two. Salah, Palmer, Wirtz and Njai in midfield. This is kind of the standard sort of midfield setup that I've seen in a lot of players. I really like it. I think all of these players are going to do really well. Njai, the only thing about him for me is that his stats last season, like underlying data-wise, were not amazing. So it's just a case of whether he will score enough points this season. It's a pretty basic FPL thought there. But you know what I mean? I think he got like 0.3 expected returns per 90 last year, which is not all that great. But he is on penalties for Everton, I'd imagine, and he is just going to play every game. I think he's kind of there, that talisman. So I do like him. We've got Watkins, Solanke and Welbeck up front, which I really like. I think Watkins is going to play, obviously, regularly for Aston Villa. He's relatively low owned. I don't know if he's still under 10% ownership, but he always has been relatively low owned in the game. I do really like Watkins, and I think he's just a solid option. He's going to play every game for Villa. He's a 15 to 20 goal a season kind of striker, which is what you'd expect to get for a 9 million sort of forward. And I'd say, despite him being differential, he's not exactly a risky pick. On his bench, he's got Kinski, Konsa, I can't remember this guy's name. A Bournemouth midfielder is 4.5 million. We don't really need to worry about that too much. I think the point is he's got a 4.5 million midfielder in there. And then he picked Sirkin, who I think plays for Sunderland. I do think his Steve is probably the best 4 million defender, not 4.5, the 4 million defender. So I'd imagine, I haven't seen his latest draft. This was again about a week ago. I'd imagine he's got someone like a Steve there instead now. But again, another really good team. And I think if you picked a team like this to start the season off, much like FPL, Raptor or Ross's and Andy's team, you'll be absolutely fine, I think. So this team gets a 92% AI rating, so the same as what Andy's got. And to be honest, I think if you upgraded Sirkin and maybe, I don't know, the 4.5 to 1 that plays, but again, I don't think there is a 4.5 million midfielder that's going to play. This probably goes up to 93 or 94%. It's a really nice team, this. All right, we've got FPL Focal up next then, and I picked him specifically because the team is actually, not only is he a really good player and a good content creator, his team is quite unique as well. So we've got Sanchez in goal, double Arsenal defence in Gabriel and Saliba. I would be a little bit worried about Gabriel's current fitness state, but I think it's good defence, and Aina as well. Saka, Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, Sarr and Rodgers is probably one of the strongest midfields I've seen so far. He's obviously gone for Enzo and Sarr over someone like Njai and Kudus. I think Sarr could be a really nice option, to be fair. I haven't had him in any of my drafts yet, but when you look at the numbers he put up last season, it's hard not to pick him, to be honest. And then Enzo Fernandez as well, who last season I think was playing a bit more of an attacking role for Chelsea last season. Yeah, I think he could be quite an exciting option. And then we've got up front Haaland and Strand Larson. So it doesn't have Salah in it, Focal's draft, and I think there's merit in that. I said it on the live stream I did last night where I was rating other people's drafts. Yeah, I think there's potential merit in going for Haaland over Salah, particularly I think if Isak signs for Liverpool, because I think the attacking returns amongst that Liverpool front line, they're going to be spread out a bit more, which I think bodes well for Liverpool as a team as a whole. But Salah as an individual putting up the numbers as an FPL option, I think he might regress a little bit this season. But I do think there's logic in picking Haaland. Interestingly though, I think with the way it rates Man United, it's got Saka as the Fantasy Football Hub expected points. It's got Saka ahead of Haaland in terms of expected points. Just looking at his bench, Darlow, I mean, he's been displaced, hasn't he? Leeds have signed another keeper, so maybe go to Kinski. But again, I'm not sure we're going to get a player of 4 million keeper. We got a Steve, who I'd said when looking at Harry's team, I think is the best 4 million defender. Matson of Villa. And with Luca Dean potentially off, he could be quite an exciting option. If Luca Dean leaves, I think he's a really good option. And then Krupi Jr., who scored, I think it was a ridiculous amount of goals in the second division in France. He's the backup striker for Bournemouth, but I think he could get some minutes. Be interesting to see if he's going to change him for Mark Gu. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. He's just signed for Sunderland. But again, I don't think his minutes are guaranteed either. Yeah, it's a nice team, this. All right, this one, interestingly, only gets an 88% AI rating. And I think that's, to be honest, because it doesn't have Salah in it, who is the top player for expected points for Game Week 1. And obviously, if you captain him, it boosts your expected points even more. But regardless of the AI rating here, I do really like the team and the different approach. I do wonder if Oscar will hold on to no Salah until the start of the season. I'd be impressed if he does. I think the temptation just to play it safe and go with Salah at the start is really strong, at least with me. And then maybe pivoting to Haaland if Salah looks like he's dropped off it a little bit, I think would probably be the way to go. My fear is, you start with Haaland and captain him, he gets 2 points, and then you don't pick Salah and obviously can't captain him. Everyone's got him captain and he scores a goal. He gets 10 points basically, he doesn't need the Salah if he scores a goal. Yeah, that would be my sort of only concern, but it's a really good team, and I like the way he's thought differently. I went on FPL Fran's channel, and the latest video he uploaded was a bench boost draft, so we're going to have a look at what he's got for his bench boost team. So he's got Sanchez in goal, Virgil van Dijk, Williams, and Wan-Bissaka. I really like that back line. I really like Virgil van Dijk. I'd say for me, he's actually probably my favourite 6 million defender. I think he's probably one of the most nailed on to start players in the Premier League. And he also did okay for defensive contribution points last season. He's going to keep clean sheets. I think he offers some goal threat from set pieces. I've seen some of Wirtz's corners being banged in as well. I think he could be really dangerous from set pieces this year. In midfield, we've got kind of the standard setup really in terms of some. We've got Salah, Palmer, Ndiaye, and Rodgers. And alongside him, Elliot Anderson, who I have picked this season as well because, well, he scored, I think, 36 defensive contribution points last season, which is, 12 assists? And if I remember correctly, he got 2 goals and 6 assists last season. So essentially, including defensive contribution points, that's 2 goals and 18 assists, which I think is a pretty good total. So I like the pick of Anderson. Wood and Solanke up front, I really like. On his bench boost, he's got Verbruggen, Strand Larsen, Rodon, and Tarkowski. It's a really good team, this, especially with the bench boost active. The one thing I would question is just, is Steve better than Rodon? That's the only real thing I'd question about this team, to be honest. The rest of the team is really good, and to be honest, pretty similar to the players that I've picked. So you put Fran's team into the Fantasy Football Hub AI rating tool, and it gets a 92% rating. No surprise, it's up there with the best teams we've seen so far. And hopefully I'm not giving something away. Myself, FPL Tom, who's next, and FPL Fran are planning to do a live stream tonight, which I'm really excited for. Speaking of FPL Tom, this is his team. He's also got his bench boost active. What I've done here, I haven't necessarily picked these content creators because they're my favourites or anything, although Tom is one of my best mates. But what I've done is tried to pick a nice mixture of teams as well. So what we've got here is a no Salah and bench boost draft. Which, to be honest, I think it's quite a nice way to go about it. So we've got Verbruggen and Kelleher as the 2 keepers. Murillo, Wan-Bissaka, Concert in defence. Gabriel, Tarkowski on the bench. Gabriel would be a little bit worried about his fitness, and I think when we look at his AI rating, it will probably detract because he's not confirmed fit. I think the same if you just go back to Fran, sorry. Has he got Gabriel? No, he doesn't. We don't have to worry about that. So yeah, that's the only thing I'd be concerned about is Gabriel. Palmer, Ndiaye, Anderson and Baleba, so he's gone double sort of defensive contribution midfielders. Baleba was really good for that last season as well, but I do prefer Elliot Anderson because I think he plays in a more attacking position and gets a similar sort of defensive contribution numbers. No Salah, and he's got Haaland, Watkins and Solanke up front. And I think if you're not having Salah and you can't quite get to Isak, this is probably the best front 3 you can have. Kelleher in goal, who I've said before on the bench. Rodgers, Tarkowski and Gabriel. Rodgers, interestingly, he is joint. He doesn't even beat Anderson for expected points, which is quite interesting. It's a really good team. I'd be a little bit scared of not having Salah, but at the same time, I think Haaland is a perfectly decent backup. And I just predict Haaland to win the Golden Boot, which makes me think he may well outscore Salah this season. So this team, AI doesn't like it so much, but I think I do. It only gets an 87% rating, and to be honest, I think that's because of Gabriel and Tarkowski's injury doubts. Tarkowski played some minutes in pre-season yesterday, I believe, so that would give me some confidence he's going to be all right. So I would expect those expected points numbers to go up. Gabriel, though, yeah, a little bit worried about him. Only 1.2 expected points against Man United with that potential injury that he's got. So yeah, if he's declared fit, I'd imagine this goes up to the low 90s. But yeah, for the time being, he's not. So it's a really good team. I like the fact that it's different. Yeah, it's a really nice bench boost as well. All right, well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that and found it useful. If you did, please leave me a like rating. Like I said, a couple of things, actually. I didn't say one of them. You can get your team rated by the Fantasy Football Hub AI using the link in the description below. And if you like what you see on the tool, I'll get you 50% off and you can win, well, get your money back basically if you don't win your mini league. So if you want to sign up to Fantasy Football Hub as a member as well, please use the link in my description below. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like rating. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of my thoughts in this video. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.